good to be here, everyone. I'm going to play some music for you, tell you some stories. I'm going to start with the saddest song that I've ever written. Are there any hockey fans in here? Anybody play hockey? Yeah? Oh, there's lots. Beautiful. I saw some hockey jackets outside. So this is the saddest song I've ever written. I wrote it about the NHL lockout last year, but I sing it like I'm Adam Sandler. See if you like it. When you feel like the only kid in town who hadn't seen hockey in a while, not having the NHL, oh, it felt so weird. We almost missed Taves and Crosby trying to grow their playoff beard. The Winnipeg Jets, they had playoff hopes in sight, and Commodore should sell his hair back to Napoleon Dynamite. We hadn't seen the guys in green do a dance in a while, so we had to set up all those freaks doing it Gangnam Style. This is really dumb, I'm aware of that. Gary Bettman, what a treat. He should go back to playing the Count on Sesame Street. Right? They look identical. Sorry, we've been on the road a long time. When I get bored, I like try to do voices. Sometimes I do the voices from the Family Guy shows and stuff like that for the students. But for those of, how many of you have seen us before? Anybody? I know a few staff came up and said, oh yeah, you guys did awesome. For those who've never seen us before, a lot of people see that video and they go, okay, wait. So you guys had a record deal? It's like, yeah. You guys had songs on the radio everywhere? It's like, yeah. And you guys were playing in big crowds like that? It's like, yeah. And you guys stopped doing that so you could do this? It's like, yeah. Are you guys stupid? It's like, yeah. But honestly, we did all that because I wanted to do something like this one day. Like, you got a glimpse of my story in that video, but if you've never heard it, I'm from a tiny little town of less than 200 people, and we were really excited one day because my buddy got his driver's license. What? The first week he had his driver's, he had 3 car accidents, so he was a great driver, right? And then one day there was freezing rain, all the highways were shut down, it was really slippery, nobody was supposed to drive, but we didn't care. We're teenagers, went for a joyride anyway, and everybody else driving that day is going like 30, because it's just super slippery out on the highways. Not us, we're going 120, we're pulling out passing cars, and we were like half a kilometer from our school out on the highway, and we pulled out to pass one last car. There was a semi-truck coming, he was going full speed, we were going full speed, and my friend didn't know what to do, so he hit the brakes. We started sliding, we hit this semi like head on, and it crushed the front of our car. Our car started spinning, the semi-trailer swung it over top of us. We went under the semi-trailer, and that like ripped the roof off our car. And I was sitting in the back seat behind the driver, and the trunk got ripped off. So I fell back where the trunk used to be, like, psh, and my friends all ran from the car. They thought it was gonna explode like it does in the movies. That doesn't usually happen though. And all of a sudden they turned back and they looked back at the car and they saw that I was still laying there and the snow was just filling with blood and it was pouring out of the side of my head. I lost this side of my skull. It got crushed by the semi. Actually, it's weird. We spoke at a school in that area a little while ago, and one of the students from the school went home, and he was talking to his parents, and he goes, hey, Dad, guess what? Robb Nash came to our school, and he got hit by a semi-truck and lost his skull. And the dad freaked out, because the dad was the first responder. He was the first person to pull up to help after the accident. So I just did lunch with this guy, and it was really weird talking to him, because he was freaking out, because he still thought I was dead. He goes, I remember holding your head like this. He said, your body was laying that way. We were waiting for the ambulance. He said, you had no pulse, your heart wasn't beating. You weren't breathing. He said, and I could look right in and see your brain because there was no head on one side. Yeah. So they called my family. My parents got the call that no one ever wants to get, and that was, we're sorry, your son was killed in a car accident today, and we're bringing his body to the hospital, which is like 2 hours away. So my family was all coming to see my dead body. As you can tell, I came back to life. That was the first miracle. Then they got me to the hospital, and they told my parents, they said, well, his heart's beating again, so we'll put his head back together with metal, with titanium, but he's never going to wake up from his coma. Actually, guess what else I found out recently? The doctors never thought I'd wake up from my coma, so they didn't even do the surgery. They actually let some students do it. They're like, here, this guy's not waking up, you can practice on him. Yeah, that happened! So if you felt my head, I found out during one part of the surgery, they dropped part of my skull on the ground, it shattered some more. So if you felt it, it should be smooth, but they did a horrible job. There's all these pieces of bone and metal sticking out under my skin, it's horrible. You know, sometimes as friends, we whack each other on the head, right? I had a buddy walk past me once and forgot about my head, he smacks me on the head, he's like, hey Rob. I'm like gushing blood, and I'm like, hey, nice to see you too. We need a new handshake. So they put my head back together with metal. A lot of people ask me, so is that your real hair? Yes, this is my real hair. This is the gross part. I guess all the skin was still there, so they put my head back together with metal. They stapled the skin back on, so my hair did grow back. But if I ever go bald, I'm gonna be like a seriously ugly dude. It's gonna be weird. So they put my head back together with titanium. They said he's not going to wake up from his coma. As you can tell, I did. Another miracle. And then they said because of my brain damage, I wouldn't have any memory. Like I wouldn't know who I was or my parents, and I didn't. So picture this. I was in my coma, and then I'd come conscious for a few minutes, and then I'd fall unconscious. And every time I woke up, they'd ask me questions to see if I remembered anything. They'd be like, what's your name? And I'd be like, Pedro. It's like, what? Where are you from? San Francisco. It's like, what? Do you know I'm in the hospital? Do you remember what just happened? Yes, I hurt myself surfing. It's like, what? My brothers told me one time I woke up in the hospital, I was all mad. I thought I was in the hospital because I lost a hockey fight. I guess whatever I was dreaming, that's who I thought I was. But then one day I woke up and my memory came back. Another miracle. And a lot of people don't know this. But when you get hit that hard on the head, it erases your temporary memory. So it doesn't usually erase your childhood, but erase the last few days. You know what I mean? So if that happened to you guys going home today, you probably wouldn't remember coming to this conference. You wouldn't remember our concert. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't remember getting hit by a semi-truck. I don't remember getting into the car. I don't remember that day or the day before. My last memory before the accident was 2 days before. I was sitting in school. Picture this, you sit there. I was staring at my teacher, and then I blink and I wake up and I was laying in a bed. And my friend was standing there. I'm like, what the heck just happened? He goes, Rob? I said, yeah. He said, dude, you got hit by a semi-truck. We told you it's like 1,000,000 times. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? When? He said, in winter. I said, it is winter. And he shakes his head, he opens the curtains, and he shows me it's summer outside. It's like 3 months later. And I didn't remember anything. I'd been awake for a while, even went back to school, visited and stuff, but my memory hadn't caught up. He goes, feel your head. Now, last thing I remember, I did my hair, looking good, went to school. Now I go like this to feel my hair, and there was no hair there. There was just metal holding my head together and a tube coming out. That freaked me right out! And I tried to get up and I tried to run to the bathroom to see what I looked like with a metal head, and I couldn't get up. I couldn't walk on my own. And then they told me about all the things that were wrong with me. Man, I was so upset. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'5". I was the captain of all my sports teams. I thought my life was going to be playing sports. And now here I was, 17 years old, and my mom has to bathe me again. And I got real angry about things. And I'm laying in recovery, and people always had 3 things that they would say to me to try to comfort me. Some came up and said, well, Rob, I guess this is your fate. And I was like, well, then fate sucks. But I know it's not fate, because fate says you have no choice, right? And I know I chose to get into the car. In fact, you know what? My best friend didn't want to get into the car because he didn't trust the driver. Apparently, I convinced him to get into the car. So I know it's not fate. We made some choices. A lot of people came up to me and said this, well, you better figure out what you're doing wrong, because God is clearly mad, so he spanked you with a semi-truck. That also sucks. But the most common one I got, and I still hear this one to this day, and I can't stand it. Since my accident, I've met with a lot of people in prison, in hospitals. Even though people always mean well with this one, this does more damage than good. People would always come to me and say, Rob, yeah, everything happens for a reason. And I'd be like, whoa. And so I lay there trying to figure out the reason it happened to me. I thought it was because I was bad. It's because I said that to my dad. It's because I did that at school that day. And I'm thinking, if this is how life is, you screw up and you get spanked by a semi-truck, I don't want to be alive, not like that, because this happened to me in grade 12. So all my grade 12 classes weren't finished. I'm not supposed to try to finish them the next year because of my brain damage. So now I can't go to college. I can't go to university. I couldn't get a job because of all my physical injuries. I can't play sports anymore. I can't even walk into a gym because a ball might hit me in the head. And all of a sudden I started hearing voices in my head every night, and it terrified me. This is what I started hearing. You're useless now. There's no reason for you. You're useless. There's no reason for you. And I didn't want to be alive, not like that. And I did a lot of really stupid things that nobody knew about. But then one day somebody came up to me and said the most amazing thing that changed my life. He goes, Rob, you think everything happens for a reason, right? I said, yeah, that's what everyone tells me. He goes, I think I know the reason you got hit by that semi-truck. I'm like, oh, what is it? He goes, I think you got hit by that semi-truck because you guys were going too fast on an icy road. And I was like, wow, that sounds so simple, but that set me free. I realized, guess what? We're not puppets. You don't have to be mad at anyone or anything, but guess what? We're all going to have some bad days. That was a bad day for me. I'm sure there's people in this room that have had bad days, yeah? And guess what? If you haven't, you're gonna. And you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with it. And I still feel weird about it, guys. Just a few weeks ago, I sang at a family funeral. Every time I've lost a friend or a family member since my death, my car accident, I feel so guilty. Like, why did I get a second chance? Why not them? Why did my heart start beating and not theirs? I just did a show in Toronto, and this mom came up to me. She gave me a shirt with a picture of her son on it. She said he died in a car accident when he was 17, just like you, but he didn't come back from the dead. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know why I got a second chance and someone else did. I had done nothing to deserve a second chance, but then I realized something. This is now what I believe. You don't have to agree with me. I don't care if you do or not. This is what I believe. So listen to this. Things don't happen for a reason. Things happen with potential. Like my accident had the potential to leave me angry and bitter the rest of my life. We all know people like that, right? Something happened when they were 12, now they're 81 and they're still angry about it, right? There was a potential I could be angry the rest of my life, or there was a potential I could try to turn my story around, try to help others with it. But it wouldn't be automatic. I'd have to make that choice. And I'll never forget the first day. I was like, okay, I'm done being angry. I'm gonna make something of my second chance. I remember I screamed at the sky. I was like, I wanna do something today. Like I wanna do something that matters. Like I want my life to count. And I was terrified. I thought I'd hear this voice inside of me say like, go to Africa, build a well, you know? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I thought I was gonna have to do something huge, and I didn't hear that. But guess what I heard? You know how there's a big difference between the voices in your head and the voice in your heart, yeah? You ever feel these promptings? This is what I felt. Not to move to Africa, this is what I felt. Phone the semi-driver that hit you and tell them you're alive. I was like, what? So it's hilarious. I phone the police. I'm like, yo, can I get the phone number of the semi-driver that killed me a little while ago? And this cop goes, no. I'm like, all right, I tried. I hung up the phone, but this voice wouldn't leave me alone. Finally, one cop gave me his number. And I phoned this big trucker from the US, answered the phone. He goes, hello? I said, hey, is this so-and-so? He said, yep. I said, do you remember that car accident up in Canada a little while ago? And this big dude gets real quiet. He's like, yeah. I said, I just felt my heart that I should call you and tell you, like, I'm okay. I'm alive. I survived. And this big dude starts crying. He's like, I'm just so sorry about your friend. I was like, what friend? He goes, the one that died and lost his skull. I'm like, no, dude, that's why I'm calling. That's me. And this guy lost it. Guess what I found out? Since the day of our accident, he had not driven a vehicle. Seen a psychiatrist, psychologist. He was on depression medication. The accident wasn't his fault. It was our fault. But he saw his semi run me over and kill me. And this was haunting him. And we talked for like 2 hours. I could feel it. This guy was set free. And I hung up the phone. And I was like, what? I'm like, that wasn't so bad. Like, I didn't have to move to Africa. I just had to phone somebody. But that felt good. Like, I had never done anything for anyone in my life except for me. And I was like, man, I want some more. And guess what? When you're faithful with little, more is given. And finally I got to this place where I was like, man, how could I tell my story to other young people so that they wouldn't have to get hit by a semi like I did before they'd make every day count? We all wear this black bracelet on this band. It says, make today count on. It's pretty simple. And you know, young people get really frustrated with this. We all look at them and we go, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? It's super annoying. If you'd have asked me in school, hey, Rob, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd have never said a musician. Guess what my worst mark was in school? Music, yeah. I couldn't make it into the choir because my voice wasn't good enough. We're doing a show at my old high school coming up. I hope the old choir teacher's still there. I'm going to be like, snap! You know what, though? Every day we should do shows at schools, reserves, detention centers, and every day I say this. I say, you guys can walk up to any adult that you know and ask them, what do you do? Everyone knows what they do. But ask them, why do you do it? And very few people have a good answer, and that's a sad thing. But I realized this. The people have had an impact on this world. It's not about what they did. It's about why they did it. Let me give you an example. I say this in schools every day. Students have never heard of the guy, but have any of you heard of a guy named Steve Fonyo? There's a few. Any of you heard of Terry Fox? Okay, one of those two guys lost his leg in a fight with cancer, and he ran across the country of Canada raising funds and awareness for cancer research. Real loud. Who was it? Steve Fonyo. And you know what, though? At every school we go to, all the kids yell out, Terry Fox. They don't know who Steve Fonyo is. Terry Fox didn't make it. Steve Fonyo made it from coast to coast on one leg, and no one knows who he is. Do you want to know why? This is what I believe. Listen to this. What they did was the same thing. Why they did it was a little different. Unfortunately, Steve Fonyo, if you know him, he has a bad criminal record, you know, he's bad reputation, and his charity was doing horrible things, so nobody talks about him. Terry Fox didn't even make it, and yet every student in this whole country knows who he is. Every school we've been to, we see a picture of him in the wall. And that's why I realized it's not about what you do, it's about your why. My why is this. I want to tell my story to young people so they don't have to get hit by a semi like I did. This is what I do. I hit metal strings with a plastic stick. Nobody cares about what I do. They care about why you do it. So we started the band, we did our first CD, second CD, third CD. Guess how many people would come to our shows? Now there'd be like 4 or 5 people. There was nobody there, but when you know why you're doing something, we didn't care if there was 4 people in the audience or 40,000. We were going to inspire those 4 people. And then our 4th album, we got the big record deal like you saw in that video. We're touring with our favorite bands, playing to huge crowds. And then one day I was offered a tour, telling my story. in prisons, youth detention centers, schools, reserves. And I was like, yeah. And my record label said, no. Because guess what? We don't charge $1 for the shows that we do, because for the most part, schools don't have a budget for it. My record label wants to make money, so yeah, to do this tour, like you saw in the video, I had to rip up my record deal, publishing deal, management deal, and everyone thought I was crazy, because by the way, when you rip up your record deal, guess what? You don't have millions of dollars. In fact, you don't even have $1. You just owe people lots of money because you didn't honor your contract. And then we don't charge for the tour, so everyone's like, how are you gonna pay for your life? How are you gonna pay for the tour? I'm like, I don't know, but I feel like I'm supposed to do it. And you guys are lucky. When this tour started, it was just me and my guitar going into prison cells and classrooms. But our tour is getting a little bigger, so we decided we're going to play some music for you as well. So please welcome my drummer. This is Johnny Holiday, yeah? And you know, through our first 4 CDs, I never wrote a song about my accident. Like, I joke around about it a bit, but it's tough to talk about, and I knew it would be hard for me to sing about. But on our 5th album, we wrote this song called One Last Breath. And in this song, you're going to hear me say all that stuff that I just said to you. I want to start listening to the angels of my life instead of just the demons all the time. Because I'll tell you what, when you wake up and your family tells you that you were dead, I'll never forget thinking, if that was my last breath, what's the last thing I said to my mom? What's the last thing I said to my dad? What's the last thing I said to my friends at school? And it's, because I had never said or done anything for anyone in my life except for me. And then I started having memories of what I saw when I died. You know, I was terrified to fall asleep for a year after my accident. Because every night I had the same nightmare. And my nightmare was watching my own funeral. And nobody showed up. Nobody cared that I lived or that I died. So in this song, you're gonna hear me begging. Just give me one last breath to say sorry. One last chance to make it right. So check out this song. This is called One Last Breath. the Adam Sandler voice before? You guys want to hear another voice that I can do? 3 people? Wow. That was really good. All right, have you guys seen the new Hobbit movie or Lord of the Rings? You know Gollum or Shmuel, that little creepy thing? Check this out. Master's our friend. Give it to us fresh and real. Say. And by the way, anytime a telemarketer calls my house to sell something, that's how I answer the phone. Good morning. Have you heard about the new deal with Rogers? Oh, really? For coffee? Yeah. I used to feel so weird. I'd walk around my house doing stupid voices. And my dad would be like, what are you doing? He's like, I like doing voices. My dad would be like, why don't you do something like your brothers? Learn how to build something, do something useful. But guess what? Every one of us is gonna have different gifts, different passions. Even if it's something weird like doing voices, maybe you'll entertain people one day. Guess what my job got to be before we got the record deal? I got to be a radio DJ. I got to do stupid voice on the radio and prank call people. It was fantastic. You guys want to hear about one of my prank calls? Oh, 20 people? That's better. Okay, my buddy became one of those mall security guard cop guys. You know what I'm talking about? Walking around the mall, security. So I used to prank call him and his friends on the radio all the time. They never knew it was me. So picture this. You listen to the radio coming here. They pick up. They're like, hello? I said, is this mall security? They're like, yes. I said, oh, I have an emergency. They're like, what is it? I said, my dad, he has a fear of public bathrooms. He's been trapped in your bathroom for like 3 hours. I said, I need you to check on him. He said, oh, I'm on my way, and you can hear him running down the hallway. And he gets to the bathroom in the mall, and he goes, where is he? I said, he's sitting in the first stall. I was just hoping somebody was sitting there. And he goes, he looks in, he goes, yeah, there's somebody in there. I said, what color are his shoes? Black and red. I'm like, yeah, that's him. He goes, what should I do? I said, just knock on the door, tell him everything's gonna be okay. So I'm waiting, sure enough. Everything's gonna be okay in there. He's not saying, well, what should I do? I said, just tell him Daddy loves him. He's like, Daddy loves you. Now picture this, you're sitting on the can in the mall and there's a uniformed dude going, Daddy loves you. He goes, he's not saying, what should I do? Should I open the door? I'm like, no, don't open the door. I said, I have a really strange request. He goes, I'll do anything. I said, well, there's a song that I sing to him to comfort him. I said, just repeat after me. He's like, my little buttercup. And I'm waiting, and he starts singing to the dude. He's like, my little buttercup. And all of a sudden, the guy inside swings the door open. He's like, what the heck is going on? He's like, oh, hello? I'm like, hey, it's Robb Nash. You're on the radio again. He's like, what? But I figured out what I was good at. I was good at doing voices. And then I figured out why. I went to work for this radio station because the owner of the radio station was my hero. You know, I said everyone knows what they do, very few figure out why. He knew both. He was a successful businessman, and his money was to help other people. I remember one time, we did the morning show, and he's like, all right, Rob, we'll find out what this city needs. I remember one day we met with all the homeless people in our city. I'm like, hey, what do you guys need? And they're all holding their feet, and I'm like, what's with your feet? They said, oh, it's -30 last night. I got frostbite on my feet. I'm like, all right. So I went back to the owner of the radio station. I was like, they all have cold feet. He goes, okay, go get their shoe sizes. So we got all their shoe sizes, and he bought $40,000 worth of new winter boots for all of them. New sleeping bags, we had a party, gave it to him. He didn't tell the newspaper, he didn't want any attention, he just did it because he felt he should. And I learned so much from him, he became my hero, and actually, he works with us now, and he's sitting here watching the show today. He's right there, that's him. Give him a round of applause, that's Tom, yeah. Everybody's got something different. Our team, we got people that are raising the money, trying to keep this tour going. We got people booking the shows. We got a company that donated the sound system, a company that makes the guitars, everything you can imagine. Back there, that's Dale. He's our security, drives our tour bus. Yeah. This is Tyler right back here. He's our tour manager. Let me show you something cool. Wait, let's make him earn it. Don't clap for him yet. Does anyone play music in here, play guitar or something like that? No one. Awesome. I'm the best guitar player here. Some people play music either way. This is kind of a cool thing. Normally when you play music, you have to run a bunch of cables in the back, you have a soundboard, right? One of Tyler's many gifts is he's great with computers. See that iPad that he's holding? That's our soundboard. From there he controls volumes on the microphones, the guitars, the drums. Ah! So you just shut my mic off. He controls it all. He controls it all. He controls it all. See, it's terrifying. And normally when you play guitar, you have a bunch of pedals in front of you to control your effects. Let me show you something cool. He controls my effects from that iPad. So watch how we work together. I'll start playing something. Now watch this. I can stop. He keeps it going. I can start the next part. And then music. See how that video was on sync all around the room from a concert we did a few months ago? See that? He's doing that from that iPad over there as well. Why do we do that? At every school we go to, we set up huge screens like this. Why do we do it? So you guys can see the words we're singing. The students can see it, because that's important to us. So that's Tyler. Give him a round of applause, yeah? But as much as we believe that everyone's got a gift, everyone's got purpose, on this tour we've now shared stories with over 900,000 students. We do shows at prisons. We see so many people missing out on their lives. I just sat across the table with one young guy who was locked away from murdering his parents. People with massive regrets. Even our own team. The guy that started this band with me, he was our bass player. He was my best friend. He was like a big brother to me. He was from a good family, good school. At his school, he was like the role model for everybody. He helped me turn my life around. We started the band together. We wanted to make a difference. And let's be real, we're a band. We get to be at a lot of parties, right? He didn't know how to make the right decisions. All of a sudden, the booze, the drugs just took over his life. Actually, a little while ago, we were on tour and we found him. We flew him home to see his family. He hadn't seen them in a long time. And he got super emotional. And he got clean and sober for 2 months, so we started playing music together again. We flew him out to do a concert. He got back on stage. He's like, man, I got my life back. But guess what happened at that first concert? All his friends showed up in the audience. After the show, they were like, that was awesome. Let's go party. And he looks at me and goes, I'm going to go party with my buddies for a bit. I was like, careful, man. We got to get on a flight and get to our next concert. He goes, don't worry. I won't miss the flight. But he missed the flight. And 2 weeks later, we got a call from homicide police in that city. He was a part of a drug deal. The person next to him got shot and killed. He was in for questioning. He was in this huge mess. The guy should be sitting with us right now playing music for you guys. He found his gift. But I don't know if anyone saw this before, but there's a thief out there trying to steal every one of our lives. But more often, we just give it away with our choices, right? We've seen it so much. I know you guys have seen it. We were just called to a community where an 8-year-old took their life. 8 years old. That shouldn't even be in their minds. They shouldn't even know that's an option. We were just at a school a few weeks ago. We were called there because a 12-year-old, she was cutting. And she caught a vein and bled out and died before anyone could get to her. We were just at a school in Ontario. A 13-year-old took her life. And the whole school's rocked because they found out why she did it. It said it on her notes. Somebody said this to me in the hallway. Somebody wrote this about me on Instagram. Like, students don't even think about their words. In North America, we call our best friends losers, right? You hear kids say it all the time. Hey, loser, come here. They don't even know how they're affecting people. And they asked us to come to this school right away in Ontario because on her suicide note, it revealed one other thing, that she had a pact with one of her friends. They had a deal. If you kill yourself, I'll kill myself. And the principal said, we don't know who it is. So we flew to the school right away. We set up, and the audience was sitting in front of us, and it was weird, guys. We knew somebody in the audience was about to take their life. We didn't know who it was. And some people teach like this, like after my accident, I was in this really dark place, and people would say, don't worry, Rob, the pain will go away. You'll get over this. And then the pain didn't go away, and I didn't get over it, and I thought there was something wrong with me. Guess what? We don't teach that. Listen to this. Pain doesn't go away. Your life is going to be full of painful days. But listen closely, pain doesn't go away, but neither does your strength. When your pain gets to here, I believe your strength is here. When your pain gets to here, your strength is here. But the pain, you feel it automatically, and the strength, you have to decide to go and get it every day. And guess what? Kids turn to parents, and parents will sometimes disappoint them, right? Friends will disappoint us. So we turn to cutting, booze, drugs nowadays, right? We stop eating. That's never fixed anyone's problem. And we said this at that school. And guess what? After the show, this 13-year-old, she's walking out of the gym, mascara running down her face, and she pulled a note out of her pocket and handed it to me. I said, what's this? She said, it's my suicide note. I was going to kill myself tonight. She goes, now I get it. I've got the strength. I can do it. And guess what? She always thought she was cursed because some of her friends would go through a tough day, wipe it off, keep walking. They weren't affected. Not her. She was like me. She would go through a tough day, and her emotions would overwhelm her. She'd get to a room, bawl her eyes out. And she thought she was cursed with this extra emotion. She's not cursed. She is gifted. She hurts deeply, but she can see when others are hurting. If you hold out all that emotion to yourself, it'll overwhelm you. That extra emotion, she's supposed to give it out to other people, help others with it. And guess what? She stayed in touch with us online, and now she's helping them. That's what we do, is we try to find out what everyone's gift is. My buddy, he always thought he was cursed. My buddy that had to leave the band, right? Because some of us could party Friday, Saturday, shut it off, go back to work, or go back to school. He couldn't. Monday, he was still partying. Tuesday, Wednesday. Getting worse every week, every month, and he thought he was cursed because he couldn't stop. Guess what? He's not cursed either. He's gifted. Whatever he does, he's all in. When he played music, he was all in. He was dedicated. When he drinks, he is all in. He is dedicated. That's not a curse. That is a gift. If you point that at the right thing, you'd excel at whatever you want. You point at the wrong thing, it'll destroy your life. I've seen it so much, guys. Actually, Ty, get this ready. I want to show you guys a video. I'm trying to show you a little bit of what we do in the schools. I want to show you this video of a school that we were called to in Alberta last year where a 17-year-old shot himself. And guess what? This is what we truly believe. Just like my story, we all are going to go through a tough day. Find the strength to get through it because somebody out there needs your story. And we said this at that school where the 17-year-old shot himself. And they asked, the family in school asked if they could make this video with us. So we could show it across Canada in schools. So people could find out you're not alone. You can see the hurt that this causes. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to get help. And this is a tough video for us to watch. It might be for some of you as well, but I want you to sit tight. It's only about 2 minutes long, because afterwards I'm going to show you another video on how this family in this school is using their tragedy to help tons of people. Check this out.